Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the F150. It has a number of problems and I think I'm going to tackle one of them today. The problem that we're going to look at today is that I think it's all caused by the same thing, but you can shift out of park without your foot on the brake pedal, and the cruise control does not work and you cannot put it into 4 low. I think those are all related problems. I think they're all due to one faulty part, and that's the brake on-off switch in the center console. And so I have a replacement part, and I'm going to put it in today and see if that makes the problems go away. Okay, let me show you what the problems are. So if I start the truck, my foot is not on the brake, but I can still shift this thing out of park. Nothing behind me, so I'll do it so you can see. That in itself isn't a problem. It could be a safety issue, but it's not causing any problems. However, so the truck is in park, no feet on any of the pedals, and I can put it in 4 high, and it goes in 4 high. But when I change it to 4 low, nothing happens. And it should go into 4 low, and it does not. So that's the second problem. And the third, which I'm not going to demonstrate, but you can't turn the cruise control on. So on the highway, when you press the cruise control button, nothing happens. And I think there is a switch down in here in this console, and I think that it has gone bad. And I have a replacement part, so let's put that in. Okay, here's the replacement part. It is Ford part number 7L3Z7E096-A. It is some sort of solenoid switch mechanism that it's part of the shift interlock system. So, and it actually also has the light for the shifter down here as well, and a couple of connectors. And yeah, so I think this is the problem. I'm not 100% sure. This was a pretty expensive part, so I hope that it fixes the problem. So I think what we should do is start disassembling this this console here. Alright, so the first thing I did was I just reached under the lip here and pulled this plastic piece off. So it's held in by 4 of these standard plastic clips that are in every vehicle. So I just pulled that up straight up, and now we are kind of in there. So I see some of the connectors here, and I think here it is. I can see the this is the release mechanism. So if the truck is ever stuck in park and you can't get it out, basically if you're having the opposite problem as me, you can push down on this and it will release the lockout and you can shift it out of park. But that is not the problem here. But we are going to have to dig that out. So let me set you up and we'll start unbolting stuff. Alright, well, this is my first time taking this apart, so not really sure exactly where to begin, but I do see some plastic clips on either side of this shifter bezel, so let me see if this thing will just pop off. It looks like it probably will. Don't want to break anything. Let me get a screwdriver. Okay, that's off, but it's being held by the overdrive switch here. And that looks like it should unplug out of there. It's one of those things where I think you have to pull that gray piece back for this thing to unclip. Let me work on that. Actually, I'm looking at it. This whole thing actually gets replaced. It has the plastic pin and everything, so why don't I just yank this whole thing out of here. Whoa. Okay, that works. Alright, so I got that connector out. It ended up being a simple tab there. But this thing still doesn't come out. It doesn't clear the shifter, and I believe that I'm gonna have to take the entire shifter out. So those 4 bolts. So those 4 bolts look like they're holding in this entire assembly. Plus, then there's this there's the shift linkage down here, right here, and we'll deal with that. So let me get a wrench. All right, seems like they're 5/16, so let's get these out of here. Alright, all 4 of those bolts are loose and ready to come out, so let's see if this whole shifter will pull out. Yes, it does, except the shift link is still attached. Hopefully, maybe that will just be helpful if I showed you what I was talking about. Here's the shift linkage. I wonder if that has to pop off. Let me take a closer look. What do you think? Will it just pop off? Yep. Popped right off. So now I should be able to pull this entire thing out of here. Or not. There's actually an anchor point down in there. So the shift linkage is held on at 2 different points. Let me take a closer look at that. It feels like the linkage back there may just clip on as well to the plastic. Not 100% sure, but I can get it, I can turn this thing sideways and I am able to access the solenoid like that. So I should be able to pull this out and replace it without pulling this entire shift mechanism out of here, I would think. So let me set you up, find a good place for you, and then we'll start pulling that shift solenoid out of there. Actually, Ford calls it a actuator. I guess it's the shift actuator. Alright, let's loosen these up. You know what? I don't think there is enough room on this side to get past. Maybe there is. Yep, got it. Got one. I got the other one. Alright, now this thing should come out like that. You can see in there when you press the trigger on the shifter, that moves up and down, so this thing will lock it in place or allow it to shift. And this one is not functioning properly. So let me rip all of this stuff out of there and we'll get the new one in. And what's nice about this new one is that it comes with all of the clips and tabs and everything like that, so I don't have to worry about trying to save that stuff. Sometimes it's possible to fix these. Sometimes solder joints and stuff crack inside. I didn't want to, take a chance that there was something really wrong with it that I couldn't repair and not have a replacement, so I went ahead and bought a replacement. We'll take this apart later and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it, but for now, since I want to have a truck, I'm just going to replace it, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. These clips are a major pain because once they go in, they do not want to come out. So take that out. Let me see if I can disconnect it over here. There's another connector here. You get the idea. Let me work on that. So I got the one connector free down there, but I'm still working on these clips right here. I could just cut them. I'll show you. Here's the new ones. They're that style. So, when you put them in, they are kind of clipped in and won't come out unless you squeeze them. I mean, I could just cut them, but if I am able to fix this thing, it would be nice if I had these. So I am going to try and, give it 5 minutes and see if I can get them, or and if not, I'll just cut them. Got that one. And I'll see if I can get the other one. You're kind of in the way, so I'll bring you back. So I was able to get the clips out. So 1, 2. Got this thing out in one piece, so that's good. Let's put the new one in and at least see if that fixes our problem. So let's see. This thing kind of goes underneath here. Like this. And this clip goes in here, like this. And this is going to go up under here, like this, for the overdrive. And this is going to connect with that one down there. And this one is going to go in there like that. Just like that. And this is going to go up here and get attached up here. Alright. I have you set up, so let me get this thing back into position. Oh, there we go. That this thing back like that. And that's got to come up like that. All right. Let me get the screws. Get this one started. These are T20s, T20 Torx, if you are curious. Move this one over here. And then the light goes up in here. Like that. Good. That's all back together now. Now let's work on this side. Scoot you over here. And let's not fall over again. And this basically goes right there like that. Oh, he fell over again. It's kind of cramped in here, if you know what I mean. So this, let me see if I can get this off. I was able to pull it off. The old one is still in there, and so maybe I can pull this off and reuse the old one. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, so it's basically just a friction fit. So it's just a slot and a slide, and it just goes in there, and that's it. Just friction. So let's see if we can reattach this. And we can plug this back in like that. Overdrive switch, and I think we are all wired up. At this point, let me put the shift linkage. Wow, you just like to fall over. At this point, I'm just going to put the shift linkage on, and we'll be almost done. Like that. So just snap that on. And we are seated properly. There is a little tab or pin down there, alignment pin, so you can get it all aligned up. And yeah, let me put those bolts in, and then we're going to test it. So I recommend using a magnet to install these things, because I dropped one down in there, and I had quite a time getting it out. So magnet is definitely useful here. Alright, it's back together enough that we can test it. I mean, before I snap all this plastic and stuff back on, I'm probably going to wipe it down, clean it up a little bit, but we can definitely test it. Alright, so I cannot get it out of park now. My foot is not on the brake. Foot on the brake. I can shift it. Can shift it just fine. Let's see, 4 high. It's on. 4 low. That still doesn't work. Maybe my foot has to be on the brake. Maybe in neutral. 4 low. Yes, I got it, 4 low. So that works again. Off. and let's see, I will have to drive it in order to test the cruise control, but I'm guessing that that is probably going to work. Hopefully you can see that, but the overdrive on and off, that seems to work, so that switch and that connection is good. Alright, moment of truth. Is cruise control going to work? Any bets? Here we go. Ha! Ha ha ha! Look at that! It's on, and it's holding. And putting the brakes on takes it off. Ha! Alright, that's it. We're all fixed up here. So here's something that this new one is doing that the old one did not. When you put your foot on the brake, the solenoid actuates. I don't think that solenoid, I think that solenoid may have been stuck in the other one. We'll find out. Alright, it's all back together. Wiped it down. Everything seems to work, so that's a wrap for the truck. Alright, shall we? Let's take this apart and see what we got in here. So it's basically a solenoid. And a circuit board. Here's the detente lever. That could be a problem. It looks like that transistor right there burned up. See how the lead on the left side is burnt on the board? And the it's peeling. It obviously got very hot, and I think that burned up. Don't know. I'm not sure if it did any damage to the board or not. We could test it, but that's pretty much, I think, what happened to this. So the solenoid may still be good, but that transistor is not. And since the label came off, it's hard to know exactly what it is and to, you know, and replace it. I guess you could take apart a good one. Alright, so here's how I think this thing works. So normally this at rest, this is the resting state, and the solenoid is not energized, and it's held up by the spring here, and this tab is connected to the trigger on the shifter. So in this state you can't press the trigger and get the car out of park. But when you put your foot on the brake, when the car is on and you put your foot on the brake, the solenoid energizes and it pulls it back like that. Now when you press the trigger on the shifter, it allows it to come out of park. And there is a micro switch down there that I guess tells the computer that you're pressing the trigger. So that's basically how it works. Very simple solenoid and mechanical blocking of the trigger. So I'm pretty sure that this transistor is the one that is the piece that went bad, and I'm thinking that this solenoid is still good. And to prove that, I have my power supply up here set to 12 volts, and so when I'm going to energize the solenoid, and that should cause this thing to pull back into it like that. So let's see. Now I'm going to turn it on. When I touch this lead, it should pull it back. And it did. So that only reinforces my suspicion that this transistor up here is bad. It burned up. And this thing stopped working as a result of that, and not anything having to do with the solenoid itself. I think that this transistor acted as some sort of power switcher, and after it burned up, it constantly shorted, so it was constantly passing the power, so the solenoid was probably always energized and always holding it back, always holding it in the down position. That's why you could shift it out of park without your foot on the brake, because there was no control. This thing burned up and it was just completely shorted. And that's why when you turn the car off and in the resting state now, the solenoid does pop back up and it does work. But when the whole system is powered, this thing is actually shorted and always energizing the coil. So this transistor is probably, one of the leads is probably connected to the switch on the brake pedal. So when you push the brake, it sends a signal to this transistor to energize this coil, which pulls this back. And that was not functioning. And as a result, there are, I'm sure, sensors, and the computer is connected through here, and you know it's looking at the various signals in here, and so it thought that the brake was, you know, being pressed all the time, and that's why the cruise control would not come on, because it was thinking that this solenoid was energized and that the brake was on, because it was looking through, you know, through this thing at the state of the system. And so the cruise control would not come on, and I guess that the 4 low may also be connected somehow, you know, be looking at this as well. Who knows? So, yep. Yeah, if you like these videos, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.